Good evening and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker-Hagan, and I have my co-host with me.
Well, good evening, Dr. J.R. Thicklin and here, and what a Tuesday it is, and we're excited because 'tis the season.
It is the season. So much goes on during this time, Dr. J. Here we
Absolutely,
are in December.
absolutely.
And as soon as December 1st comes, there's a different spirit that surrounds or enhances or hovers down over so many individuals.
It is, and it's an interesting thing because it depends on how we look at it. This season that we call holiday season or Christmas season is actually the shortest season that we celebrate. You think about it, even hurricane season lasts from June to the end of November. You talk about winter, spring, summer, and fall, each lasts about, 3 months. And yet it's still Christmas season, lasts a very short period of time, but probably have the most emotional impact on everyone than any season.
It absolutely does, Dr. J. And really, December is a time that a lot of people really need to reset their thinking, reset their movement, reset their careers, reset their goals, reset themselves emotionally. This is the time that you reset because guess what? January 1st is coming. January 2023. I can't believe 2023 is right around the corner. It's like right there.
It's right on our heels, and it's an interesting thing when you start talking about that word reset. I think one of the reasons that the season is so challenging is because of the fact of what I call the emotional baggage that we begin to carry if we wasn't carrying it. Uh, Quite frankly, when I look at the Christmas season, I think about what we have packed into it. In and of itself, it's an artificial construct. But
Mm.
because we've attributed so many things to it, time of giving, time of love, tis the season to be jolly, all of these things we ascribe to it. But when we are unable or seemingly are having difficulties in that time, it brings about everything but being jolly. For many, it brings about depression, it brings about isolation, it brings about people turning to drinking and doing excessive, even people turning to crime in order to fit into this artificial construct that we call the season. Even
Yes.
relationships, Dr. Val, there are people that are getting in relationships right now because of the season that it is. And we hear the songs, chestnut roasting, all I want from Christmas is you. So all of these artificial constructs serves to direct our mindset. And the thing that we have to keep in mind is that we have to be able to really establish for ourselves what our parameters are. Because if not, we'll be gone with the wind with all the things that are happening around us.
Yeah, you said something very important, Dr. J, about the fact that people try to fit into that mold of what this season is supposed to be. And they literally kill themselves to get those expensive gifts they can't afford and then have panic attacks in January when they realize all the money they spent. And I know, when my children were growing up, and we went through that experience of being homeless and not having a home to put a tree in, and our perspective has changed from that point to this time. Um, right now, without giving anything, we give what we think an individual needs, not to just get gifts. Because I don't know about you, but when the kids were growing up and it was holiday time, we just bought a bunch of toys. And you could buy a bunch of toys, but they'll only walk away with that one toy that they like. They'll take that one toy and play with it, even
Absolutely.
though there's plenty around the tree. And not only that, because I have four children, they would take each other's toys and enjoy that. And we stress ourselves out. When hindsight is 2020, when you look back at it, it was like, why?
Yeah,
Why did you go through all that? Why did you put yourself through that? When reality is, if you're going to give something, give them some clothes, like give them some underwear, get them some shoes, get them some socks or something. Toys are things that'll be dispersed. If you want to try to get one thing that they want, don't stress yourself out, because you know what? Jesus is the reason for the season. Ain't no Santa Claus around here.
For sure. And think about it. We start this thing with the whole narrative that we ourselves paint. It's the narrative that we sell even to our kids. And so we generally end up selling pressure back to ourselves because once again,
Wow.
you talked about the time when you guys went through your homelessness situation, it shifted the way you saw things. By the same token, how we treat ourselves during this period, if we're really saying, and we're beyond this fact of, oh man, is it Jesus' birthday or not? Look, we have no history to say it was December 25th or whatever. And that's not the whole idea. The idea is that we take the time to commemorate or to celebrate that the fact of his birth. Now, number one, if we're going in the tradition of what we normally do for birthday, generally we give gifts to the person who's celebrating the birthday. But somehow this got misconstrued. And so what happened, we get stressed out, debt out, and everything else, trying to give gifts to people all as if we're paying some type of restitution for the year.
Right.
Okay, let me let you know. Okay, I cared about you this year. And what happens is that it creates unnecessary burdens. People have walked away from each other because of the stress of Christmas. By the same token, people have fallen to what I call artificial, superficial relationships because of the fact of the holiday season. That whole thing, like I said, chestnuts roasting on open fire, all these beautiful songs, Christmas just like Christmas without the one you love, and all of those things
What
serve
the
some.
lonely hearts do at Christmas.
So all of these things here, it plays on our emotional good judgment. So what happened? We have made it so that even if kids don't get certain things, they see themselves as being less than. They see themselves as being poor. We could not afford it. My friends got they got this, and we didn't. And so we create this subculture that believes that in order for one to celebrate Christmas, you got to have a bunch of tangible things. And I think the whole message is totally distorted because that's not what it's really all about. And I think you said something that was important. This is the time of year that people get buried, but this is really the time of year we ought to be doing three things. We ought to be reflecting on what the year has been, right? We ought to be reflecting. And then
Yes.
we ought to not only be reflecting, but we ought to be reorganizing. In other words, reprioritizing some
Right.
things.
Reposition yourselves.
Repositioning ourselves for the new year. And thirdly, we ought to be looking to be reinvigorated about the new year. Many people are coasting. They're trying to coast these last 18 days out. They're going to coast the way out. That's not the way you want to end a year. You want to finish strong. You want to finish with a positive mindset. And so if we're being truthful with ourselves, rather than being in the red, we want to be in the black.
Yes.
Rather than being in debt, because credit cards are going to get maxed out right during this Christmas time, and those things then in order to satisfy a temporary feeling. And
Right.
so
And
that
it's very temporary. You know,
it is very
it's
temporary.
less than a minute. You give the person a thing, they're like, oh, thank you. And then they go on to the next thing. What's for dinner? But yet you spend all this energy trying to fit into that superficial mold that you talked about, and then wind up feeling less than because you're like, oh, this person didn't like it, or you didn't get the response you thought you would have gotten, and then you feel in
Yeah,
some kind of way, so it ruins your whole day, and then you're like, what's the point? Well, the point is, first of all, if you're going to give something, give it from the heart. Second of all, don't give to receive. And third of
absolutely.
all, when you're giving it from the heart, and you giving because you want to, expecting nothing in return, but if you get it, well, that's an extra bonus. But give not expecting anything in return, and it will go a whole lot smoother for you doing that gift exchanging thing, because there's been many Christmases I didn't get anything.
Absolutely.
I didn't
Absolutely.
get any, but yet I gave. I mean, I did toy drives and gave toys to 50 families, 100 families at a time, you know, dispersing. And then right now, my foundation, because I know that the children that I've been and families I've been helping, what has happened is the kids have gotten older. So now I don't give Christmas toys and stuff because I just had an aha moment. I'm like, I'm getting all these toys, collecting these toys, just buying things and giving them to the families when, I'm giving them to the kids. And yeah, they get the toys for Christmas, but it's not what they want and it's not what they really need. So now, the last 5 years, I've been giving out gift certificates, not gift certificate, gift
Awesome.
cards,
Gift cards.
gift cards because, and I give out Walmart gift cards because why? Walmart has clothes where they can buy shoes, they can buy toiletries, they can buy food, they
Yeah,
get an opportunity to get what they need instead of
absolutely.
what I want them to have. So, like I said, as I grow and as I go from year to year and dealing with, different individuals and seeing the climate that we're living in, I change with the climate. The climate is not for me to give toys. The climate is gift cards.
Right. And we have to make those type of readjustments. And for everyone, one of the things that I think is so important is that please do not emotionally blackmail yourself and don't allow yourself to be emotionally blackmailed when it comes to the holiday season. Listen, if what you have done all year long has not been representative of your love, your concern, and your caring, then listen, in some cases, you're going to have to let it be rather than put yourself in a very terrible position. Now, we want to invite your comments, those of you that are watching live by Facebook and those of you that may be watching even by YouTube, but particularly, we'd love your comments. Perhaps tell us some of the things that when you talk about 'tis the season, what are the things that you find yourself either dealing with or, feeling compelled to do or not do during this holiday season? Because it is very important that we recognize the fact, how is it that if 'tis the season to be happy, 'tis the season to be jolly, then why are we crying with credit card debt? If this is season to be jolly, then why is it that people are robbing people? So that means that somebody's going to impede on somebody else's happiness in order to make themselves happy. Now that don't sound like peace on earth and peace and goodwill toward all men. That sounds like, listen here, I'm gonna get my peace to get what I want from you. So that's robbery. We
Yeah.
have to guard our heart. We have to guard our mind. We have to guard our emotion, and for heaven's sake, guard our wallets
Yeah,
during
we have
this time.
to. This is a
Because
different season we're in, Dr. Jade. It really is. It's a crucial season because so much has happened through this year. And, we just came out of an election in Atlanta. The
Mhm.
world was watching. And it's just like one thing after another. And also the anticipation of who's going to be the next candidate running for president. All this is going on. And then if I don't know about you, but my crypto is fell in the toilet, my stocks are in the toilet. So we
Yeah, my
really
crypto is
have to
crapto
be
right about now.
we really, really, but actually the statistics that say the best time to buy is now that it's in the toilet. And
Right.
then pray for resurrection. My husband Alex was telling me about this ball player. I forgot what he played, but he got a signing bonus of 20 million and he put it all in crypto.
Oh my.
And then it was the company that went out of business.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
his entire signing bonus is no more.
Well, that sounds like to me very poor or no financial advisors that advise them to put that type of money into crypto. Definitely in one platform. That was a no-no. And what we're finding out now, whether it's crypto, the bitcoins and all that, is going through a tough season right now. It's going through
Yeah.
a tough situation. And we have to become educated. It's kind of like the old song. We have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk, know when to run, and so we have to, look at it in that season. But this is the type of thing, this type of year that many people, they can't get carried away with emotions. And the
Right.
real question, doctor,
Emotional giving.
mhm,
Yeah,
yeah,
emotional giving, emotional relationships. You allow individuals to take advantage of you because you're in a weak, vulnerable state. So be
mhm,
aware of that. Don't give yourself up for a moment.
And it works both ways. That means that you have to understand your own emotional wellness. You have to have your own emotional intelligence, because if not, what will happen, even in your weak moment, you'll fall prey to someone. And then guess what? When the smoke clears, you both realize that it was just for that moment.
Just
It
for that
really,
moment.
and that's something to consider. So that's the reason why I really believe that towards the end of the year, as we're winding down, it's a time of self-reflection. It's a time of really looking and taking that introspection of ourselves. And let's start talking about what is it that we can rearrange? How can we reposition ourselves, our priorities, our goals for the upcoming year? Because that's when you want to be stronger. You don't want to walk into the new year weighed down with so much weight emotionally, financial debt, weighed down with, God, I know what I got in that relationship. You don't want to be weighed down with that. So it is the time now to accelerate. The time now is to accelerate. I'll be honest with you. Time now is probably the time to read some good books.
Yeah.
Some good books that creates a sense of optimism, create a sense of clarity, because we need this. This is the time to declutter, not clutter.
Right. My husband was asking me, "Well, what you going to talk about on the show?" I said, "Basically, it's called it. The show is about resetting, repositioning ourselves, and embracing a larger vision of ourselves." And he was like, "Well, what are you going to tell the people the remedy for?" I said, "Well, this is a good time to catch up on books, like you said,
Yeah,
and those dreams and those goals that you want, that you said you wanted to do in 2022 and didn't get a chance to do it because you were so busy or so distracted because of emotional family issues, etc." I said, this is the time, because a lot of people, they get a week or a couple of days off because of the holidays. This is a perfect time for you to stand still and just reflect and open your eyes and your ears so that you can be sensitive to what the Lord is saying to you to do. Because guess what I always say? When you're in alignment with the assignment God has for your life, the world will beg for what you have. You won't even have to kick no doors down. You won't have to be swinging and boxing like you in a boxing match. You will be in alignment with that goal that you need to get to, because it's part of your assignment. There are people that are assigned to you and you have not reached them because you've been so cluttered. It's time to reset. It's time to reevaluate what you've done and what you haven't done, so that when you get ready to crack 2023, you will do it with new eyes, a new vision. Because see, if we don't look at things from a different perspective from time to time, we will get swallowed up on what's
absolutely.
real and what's not real. Ergo, why people stay hooked on reality television. They're living somebody else's dreams, somebody else's goals, somebody else's
Exactly.
emotions and stuff, living vicariously, as you will, through them, when their end is almost a dead end. It's constant chaos. You don't want that for your life. You want to be at a place of peace. You want to be on a place of purpose. That's where you want to be in your life.
Exactly right. And that doesn't, you don't stumble into that. You have to be intentional and deliberate about that. Sometimes what happens is that people tend to run out of gas. We,
Mm,
we run out of gas towards the end of the year, because watch this, we keep seeing the end of the year as is some type of finish line. No,
mm,
remember, this is not about a destination, it's a journey. And so this journey is leading us to some places here, and understand that we need to understand when it's time to begin to rise up. In other words, don't allow even disappointments and setbacks of the year to define where you are now. It's not too late to finish. You can finish strong regardless of what has happened
yeah.
in the previous 10 months of the year. You can finish strong, but it takes a reset of mind. It takes a reset. Sometimes it even takes acknowledging that I got distracted,
Right.
acknowledging that I had too many things on my plate, acknowledging that sometimes I failed to move. I failed to move when the door was open. I failed to act upon things, but don't dwell there. I acknowledge it. I admit it. Now reset. Let's reset. Let's get back in alignment, because you said something that was so important. I do believe that there are people that are assigned to us. There are people that are assigned in our lives in different seasons. If it wasn't the case, you would have met everybody that you ever going to meet. You'd have met them a long time ago at
Yeah,
one time, but they wasn't meant
right.
to be there at that time. That means that even inside of your own purpose in your own life, that you are meant to be an answer to somebody else's problem. You're meant to solve a world's question, and that means that you and I must be aligned spiritually, emotionally. We have to be sound in mind, because we can lose such valuable time rehearsing our failures, rehearsing our doubts, reinforcing our limitations. And that's one of the things that we have to understand something, that we have to speak the right talk. We have to quote the right things and give ourselves the right language, because if I only reinforce my limitations, boy, I will get them every time. When we fight for our limitations, when we continue to tell ourselves what we're not able to do, what we can't do, what we've always failed in, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But when we remove that and begin to really make sense of the word, look here. The word is impossible, and it says impossible. But if I break it down, watch this, and I do it, it really say I am possible. That means I am possible. I am possible inside of this
Yes.
task. I'm possible inside of my goals. And I think that's what we have to understand. That listen, when we are willing to apply our faith and we align it with our works, there's nothing that's going to stop it. Because when faith and works come together in agreement, they become an unstoppable force. They become an unstoppable force. And so my message to everyone is to finish strong. Finish strong. There's no time to coast. Finish strong.
Absolutely. And in finishing strong, Dr. J, we're almost out of time because we're going to, cut the show short tonight. But one of the things that I want individuals to do is when you reset and when you're looking to reflect over what you've done or haven't done throughout the year, don't allow yourself to go into this hold of woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah,
We all wish we woulda, coulda, shoulda, but we
exactly.
can't redeem time. But
No.
we can change our future by acting in accordance with what our purpose is. So don't allow yourself to dwell on what you didn't do or should have done or could have done. Forgive yourself for where you've been and celebrate where you want to go.
And that's so important, Dr. Val. We have to change that language. You have to reverse the mindset. So many people are going through things in the holiday season. It is always a tragedy when people lose loved ones in this time, because it
Mhm.
becomes this indelible reminder that every time the year comes along, you start reflecting on who's not there. And these are real things. And I know that holiday season, a lot of people go through depression. And one of the things that I say to people, sometimes the greatest gift that you can give people is not presents, but presence. Your presence,
Yes.
that
Yes.
phone call,
Give them
that
you.
visit, to check on them, to embrace them, to let them know they're not by themselves. Remember the fact, you may be cognizant of the fact this is their first holiday without their husband, wife, child, loved ones, or whatever. You know, be that person inside of a presence, there. Call them, let them know that you're thinking about them. Too often, we
Oh, and
think that the
Dr.
greatest,
J, one thing
yes,
important for you, those especially when they're dealing with loss, don't be like, oh, and I'm sorry, such and such ain't here, or this and that, no here. Don't do that because it stirs up and rehashes and things. It's time to reset and reposition to walk through the future, not dwelling in the past. And I think a lot of people do that. They get stuck in what was, as we've been talking about. And I'm not to diminish that fact or to diminish that person or that relationship that you had with that individual, but know that there's an assignment here for you. That's why you're still here, because you have an assignment that you too have to fulfill. Let's celebrate the time that we've had with those individuals. I
yes,
had a loss in my family this week, and I just began to reflect and remember on Dora through my childhood. I'm 63 years old, and I remember lessons. I remember things that she taught me, things that she said. It's The memories like that we hold dear, but not to make us sad, but to empower us and to celebrate the wisdom and the knowledge that we've got for those that have gone on. I miss my grandma Hattie, and I think about her often, and I think about those little nuggets she used to give me and say to me.
Exactly.
And when I'm raising my children, I think about, the things that my parents taught me, that I've learned from my siblings, people that created, that was surrounding me, that made me me. Those are the memories I hold dear to, because those are things that no one can take from me. Rather, even live or dead, those are memories that I hold dear, that empower me, that no one can ever take. And that's what we need to hold on to as individuals.
You hit it on the head, because we're talking about priceless moments. I often tell people that, when loved ones pass on and things, that though they're gone from the physical realm, they don't have to be gone from the natural realm. When I say the natural realm, the spiritual realm, the emotional realm, because the fact they can live vicariously through us. They can live on their wisdom, their guidance, the things that they have taught us. It can be demonstrated inside of it. I oftentimes find myself quoting my father. I find myself quoting my mother, and I say, "Wow, I remember when they would say this," and even my
Yeah.
grandmother. I think of those individuals, and all that is that I'm being reminded of things that they said that was valuable, nuggets that I might have not always understood back then, but boy, they are very useful now, and you can recognize, because life experience have made it relevant now, what they were saying then. So it's a way to celebrate, honor them inside of what you do, whatever way that you need to release. Some people, they do both balloon releases. They have balloons and they release it there. But the beautiful thing about when they release a balloon, that all goes up with one great, chant, one great shout, because they're saying, "Listen here, we remember you, we thank you, and you're not forgotten." And therefore, you exchange that feeling from feeling down and downtrodden and sad, because if you dwell on what you're missing,
Hmm.
it doesn't bring anything to you
It doesn't
other
bring
than
any value.
it doesn't. And so you have to look at, where do I build from here? Where do we go from here? How
Yeah.
do
What
I
do you
build?
celebrate? How do you celebrate from here?
Exactly, exactly.
How do you
Because
rejoice from here?
yeah, because some people have put themselves, unfortunately, in an emotional prison. They're emotionally caged because of losses. Whether it's loss of a loved one or loss of a relationship. And some
Job.
people have, some people have been so hurt that they can't seem to get beyond what last thing that happened to them. And therefore it has immobilized them. And they can't live in today, because yesterday has them hostage. And
Right.
that's what we have to make up our mind. Tis the season. Tis the season to be set free. Tis the
Yeah.
season to be released. Tis the season to rise up. Tis the season to move forward. And that's what this season is really about.
Absolutely. Dr. J, it's always a pleasure. It was good seeing you the other day.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of these days we're going to have to do some live remotes or live in some other places. We're both looking forward to some extremely great things in 2023, and that doesn't mean that we've given up on 2022. We're just saying that we are building, we're using the building blocks of 2022 to propel us in 2023. And for all of you that are watching by way of Facebook and thing, we appreciate your comments. Hey, like I said, we invite your comments because of the fact that you have something to offer, and perhaps something that's been said has resonated with you. Some people just haven't given themselves permission to even celebrate anymore. Some people
Mhm.
have put the pause button on their own lives. It's not that God put the pause on it. You put the pause on your own life. Well, I want you to do something. I heard that when you hit it again, the pause button, you release. See, it's on and off. So unpause yourself, begin to accelerate, be intentional, be deliberate, celebrate where you're going. Don't resent getting another year older. As a matter of fact, celebrate the wisdom and the knowledge that comes with your experience. This is the time that you pronounce to the world that I am going to be my greater self. I am going to take up what I should have been all along, and stop asking people permission to be who God has called you to be. Be great, because greatness is in you.
Well said, Dr. J. And individuals, if you want to connect with Dr. J, please visit his website, www.jrthicklin.com. That's www.jrthicklin.com. And of course, you know how to reach me. Hopefully, you do. I've been on the air for so many years, but it's www.fromthesoulofAwoman.com, and invite you to support our nonprofits, because together we are reaching hearts and we are empowering and inspiring lives. This has been another Hot Topics from the Soul. Good night and God bless.
God bless.